Welcome to the first tutorial in preparing your ePortfolio for Ed 594. When you first open your portfolio, and I'm using a Semester 1 portfolio for this demonstration, you will find several things on the page in front of you. The first thing that you will find is on the left side a variety of file folders that will contain all the information for each goal. It actually opens on an introductory page, in which at this point you will have really no purpose for, so it will usually remain blank at this point. You're welcome to write in this reflection area saying welcome to my portfolio or whatever you'd like, but there is no reflection expected there because it is an introductory page. There are a few things about navigating this portfolio that I'd like to explain. One is the overall page that will look the same for each goal. You will have your reflection area that can be changed and edited by clicking this button right here. You will below it have an artifact area which will list each goal. There are none here now, but you will see them as I navigate through the pages. A button to attach new assets. And then over here is a toolbox. You can either have it float by undocking it and be able to move it around, or you can dock it and have it stay stationary. There are several options here. Scrap notes are notes that you can leave for yourself. I don't believe there's anything under guidelines. Standards is where you can open it and actually have a visual representation, a text representation of each one of the standards in the different goal areas. Now, if you're on the introductory page, it will list them for every single standard. However, as you move through the different goals, it will give you just the standards for that goal. When you go to the last one, which is review comments, you will see that if someone has reviewed your portfolio and left you comments, now this is using the comments from all the different goal areas because I'm on the introductory page. As I go through the goal areas, it will just show me the comments that had been left for that goal. It's just feedback for you. This is where you find that feedback after your coach has reviewed your portfolio. Let's navigate to goal number 1. It takes a moment to refresh, and then of course it becomes a little big, so you have to navigate using this bar sometimes to see everything. Now, goal number 1 can be expanded and it'll show you every single thing within that folder. You'll now see that there's been something placed in this reflection. You can ignore these comments, these were left for coach trainings, but you'll be able to see that there is some identification of when this was written. There is a tutorial on reflections that will be covered later on and show you how to not only write a reflection but how it's formatted. If you scroll down below, you'll see all the different standards for goal 1. Now, you'll see these subcategories right here. And these subcategories were put here by me to give you an indication of what you could possibly put here. Here's the actual standard, 1.1. You are expected to have 1 or 2 things under each standard. Now, this particular example shows that every subcategory was covered. If you do not have something for a particular category, it's okay, as long as you have 1 or 2 artifacts under standard 1.1. The first suggestion is a classroom management plan. This gets written in 560, the class that you're likely in now if you're a first semester student. There's also a suggestion to use coach or building evaluations. This is typical. Also, lesson plans using timer materials management, because if we look up above, we'll see that you can undock and bring your toolbox down and be able to look, okay, what exactly does 1.1 mean? 1.1 means organizes and allocates and manages resources of time, space, activities, attention, as well as establishing routines, procedures, etc., etc. So you want to find artifacts that will show your ability to do this. That's why I wouldn't want just any type of lesson plans. If they have no materials or time management showing in them, then that would not be an appropriate lesson plan to place here. As we look down to 1.2, we'll see a similar circumstance in that the classroom management plan, it can be utilized more than once because it's likely going to speak to more than one standard. A coach or building evaluation, it may or may not be the same one that you used above. And then these lesson plans are depicting a motivating lesson plan. And why would that be? It would be because 1.2 says monitors and analyzes the classroom environment and applies appropriate intervention strategies and practices to enhance social relationship, student motivation, and engagement. Engagement means that they're connected and they're into the lesson. They're on task. So you would want to show a highly motivating, kind of exciting lesson. So you can go on down through and see that the suggested categories here are meant to really help you in determining what types of things might I put here. You'll see under Standard 1.5 that there is a suggestion of school behavior plan. Some of you might have a positive behavior system put in place throughout your school. That would be something that you could utilize to show that under 1.5 models and articulates democratic ideals to students in developing productive citizens. That's what those systems, school-wide systems, do. Maybe this particular person, and this is an example I made up, doesn't have one of those systems throughout their school, so they did not place anything there, and that's okay as long as you have some other evidence there. Now, I often get the question of, what if I have a piece of evidence that meets this standard, but it's not one of your suggestions? Place it in there anywhere. I don't care if it meets, the title of the subcategory. The system will not allow me to put an other category. As long as it's well labeled, I can tell what it is. I don't care if it's misplaced under a subcategory. Just place it anywhere. If it meets the criteria of what would fulfill that standard, as far as it's showing that you can do what's expected of this standard, then that is fine. You can include that. If you have any questions about that, you may ask your coach. Okay. As we go on through the different categories here, and don't worry, I'm going to show you how to upload and how to attach different documents here in a later tutorial. We're just getting a feel for things now. Goal 2. Goal 2 is kind of important. There's a reflection that goes here. There isn't one here now, but as you scroll down, you'll see that various standards-based lesson, Standard 2.9 should include various standards-based lesson plans. That's mostly because, as you can see, your standards switched here. Knowledge and content. So maybe you did a lesson plan that was very content-based here. The one thing that I want to point out to you with the artifacts or documents that you place in Goal 2, especially your first semester, these are really focusing in on your content area. That's something that you're bringing to the table with you upon entering this program. So a lot of what we use for Standard 2.11 are your transcripts, your resume, your place results, coach evaluations saying you know your stuff, you know your content. Those are things that you kind of already have, so those are fairly easy to show this in this early stage. As we go to diverse learners, a lot of these standards will be covered in diverse learning Ed 512. However, there will be a few things that will speak to your time in a classroom right off the bat. Please note that as we flip through the portfolio, you'll notice that not all of the standards will be shown here compared to what's in your handbook. and that is exactly the way it's supposed to be. If you are a first semester TIR and you are working in Portfolio 1, then you will only have the standard showing that you are expected to complete. These particular standards really talk about your relationship with students and your ability to treat them fairly and equally. These are some examples of things that you could place in here. And then goal 4 is assessment. Maybe a lesson plan that shows how you're going to assess that objective. Examples of assessments that you're using in your classroom, either formal or informal. It could be as simple as a chapter test from a book or a rubric that you've developed, to maybe a MAPS test that your whole school did, or DIBELS testing for reading, or anything like that. And of course, always coach or building evaluations. Sometimes you won't have administrative evaluations right away. No, you don't have to put those things in there. Don't put them if they're flattering. The point here is to choose things that show that you're proficient. Hopefully they would be flattering, or at least in part. But yeah, don't place something in here that doesn't show you in a positive way. And if that's a problem, let me know. Okay, so we've just looked at goals 1 through 4. Continue on to the next tutorial for goals 5 through 8.